Did you know that behind history's most famous horror movies lie real cases so disturbing they overshadow cinema itself? Today, we'll uncover the dark truths of Ed and Lorraine Warren, whose investigations inspired The Conjuring, Annabelle, and Amityville. But beware, not everything is as it seems. Were Ed and Lorraine Warren truly guided by the supernatural? Or was there something much more human and sinister behind their tales? Their stories inspired chilling films, but the truth behind them may be even darker. What if the terror they faced was not just paranormal, but also rooted in reality? Stay until the end, because what I'm about to reveal could completely change how you see horror and what you consider real. The Warrens' legacy is not just about fear, but also raises unsettling questions about the line between truth and fabrication. Ready to uncover the secrets they left behind? Have you ever wondered how some names managed to become legends? Ed and Lorraine Warren weren't just paranormal investigators, they were artists of fear. Their story began humbly but became a spectacle when Hollywood decided to transform their accounts into iconic films. The Conjuring, for example, isn't just a horror movie. It's a portal that connects viewers to stories the Warrens claimed were real. The idea of cursed objects, malevolent presences, and exorcisms carried out in secret fascinated audiences so deeply that they quickly became synonymous with terror. With every knock on a door or whisper in a scene, we feel marketing shaping fear. And do you know what's curious? Ed and Lorraine's success wasn't just luck or storytelling talent. They understood something few dare to explore. Fear is universal. Their occult museum, featuring items like the Annabelle doll, wasn't just a collection of curiosities. It was a strategy to solidify their place as paranormal authorities. When we enter this world, everything feels carefully constructed, almost theatrical. But what if that theatricality was the secret to their impact? Think about it. When you see an inverted cross in a movie or hear a door creak, you feel their influence. And what if that feeling wasn't just fiction, but a way to master our fears? The question is, how much are we consumers of stories, and how much do we become complicit in them? Every account, every appearance, was treated as a suspense masterpiece, but it also fed doubts about their authenticity. One thing is certain, the Warrens knew how to capture the imagination of millions. And even with criticism, their legacy continues. It makes you wonder, did they know more than they revealed? Or is this just the tip of a much darker iceberg? Their stories remind us that the line between reality and fiction isn't as clear as we think, and that fear, when harnessed, is one of the most powerful tools of all. Now, let me guide you into a nebulous terrain, the boundary between reality and fiction. The Warrens mastered compelling stories, but there were cracks. The Amityville case is a prime example. When the Lutz family fled their home, claiming terrifying paranormal events, the Warrens stepped in. Fear seemed real, but what if it wasn't? Chilling photos and vivid accounts seemed to support the story, but skeptics later claimed it was all a hoax. Imagine fear dismantled piece by piece. What if the monster in the dark doesn't exist, but its shadow is more threatening than reality? This is the power of Doubter Force, stronger than any ghost. Let's reflect on how truth can be manipulated. Imagine sitting in a dark room and hearing a whisper. Is it real or your mind? This doubt fuels stories like the Warrens. In Amityville, critics argued the family fabricated events for money. Yet, the Warrens insisted on their authenticity, making the case a symbol of blurred reality. Not only critics questioned the Warrens, Even their vivid descriptions of flying objects and demonic encounters lacked concrete proof. What remains, then? Doubt. And doubt is powerful, perhaps more terrifying than any ghost. When we lack certainty, fear thrives. Maybe this is what the Warrens wanted, to trap us in a loop of fear. But what if the next case is different? What if this time, the shadow is real? This lingering question keeps us wondering long after the story's end. Whether hoax or truth, the Warrens' legacy is a testament to how fear and uncertainty can intertwine, making us question not just the supernatural, but our own reality. Did you know that the Warrens investigated over 10,000 cases? It seems like an almost impossible number, but here lies the curiosity. How did they achieve this? Ed, with his imposing posture and firm conviction, and Lorraine, with her psychic sensitivity, formed a unique duo. Their methods were often as mysterious as the stories they told. They used recordings, cameras, religious objects, and even drawings made by Lorraine to document their investigations. Everything seemed designed to capture the impossible. Have you ever wondered if these tools were truly effective or just elaborate setups to heighten the tension? It was Lorraine's approaches that sparked the most fascination. She claimed to feel presences, perceive memories of spirits, and even predict disasters. During investigations, she walked slowly through houses, stopping at specific points to describe what she felt. "Here, something terrible happened," she would say, while Ed jotted down notes. Some people swore she described scenes with eerie precision, while others said her words were vague, open to interpretation. It was as if she created such a strong emotional connection with the environment that even skeptics began to doubt their beliefs. Do you think fear can influence our perception? What if the atmosphere they created was the key to awakening these phenomena? What always intrigued me was how they used religious objects. Crucifixes, holy water, and prayers were part of almost every investigation. These elements, combined with frightening accounts, created a feeling of both safety and fear. But why these methods? Perhaps the Warrens understood that true terror was not only in the invisible, but in what we can touch and feel. Imagine yourself holding a crucifix, fingers trembling, while a voice echoes through the house. This scene is not just a movie, but something the Warrens recreated in their investigations. What if you found yourself in such a situation? Would you rely on faith or reason to survive? Now, let's dive into the controversies surrounding the Warrens, a side of their story rarely explored in movies. Despite their contributions to horror and the supernatural, they faced serious accusations during their lives. Critics and former collaborators accused them of fabricating evidence, exaggerating accounts, and even exploiting vulnerable people. Imagine trusting the Warrens to deal with something inexplicable, only to discover you might have been just another element in their narrative. These accusations raise an unsettling question. How far were they willing to go to sustain their reputation? What if the truth is scarier than any ghost? Ed Warren's case is particularly controversial. There are accounts that he had an inappropriate relationship with an underage girl who lived in their house for years. These stories don't appear in books or films, but records and witnesses reveal a dark and disturbing side of his personality. This deeply impacts the image of the couple as heroes of the supernatural. If Ed was unreliable in his personal life, how can we trust his accounts? Have you ever wondered who the real monsters in these stories are? It wasn't just Ed who faced criticism. The way the Warrens handled some families raised suspicions. They were often accused of taking advantage of people in moments of emotional vulnerability, such as grief. Possession cases, for example, often involved impressionable children or youth. casting doubt on the legitimacy of their methods. Despite this, the Warrens continued to attract loyal followers and build their fame. Could these accusations be an attempt to discredit their work? Or did the Warrens themselves cultivate fear and mystery to divert attention from their flaws? What if all the answers are hidden in their next case? Have you noticed how media power transforms stories into legends? In the case of Ed and Lorraine Warren, this was essential. Books, TV shows, and especially movies were the pillars that elevated their reputation to almost mythical levels. The Conjuring and its spin-offs, like Annabelle, not only adapted their stories, but romanticized their fight against evil. With each carefully directed scene, audiences felt they were witnessing something authentic. But is the cinematic version of their lives accurate? Or are we consuming a strategically crafted version to sell tickets and reinforce their brand? Imagine the sound of a clock ticking while the movie projects an image that seems real. But what if it's not? The impact of the films goes beyond entertainment. They create a sense of familiarity with the Warrens, as if they were the ultimate guardians against the supernatural. This gave the duo an aura of untouchability, shielding them from much of the criticism they faced during their lives. But the truth is that the films were written and directed by people with their own creative intentions, often ignoring or altering controversial aspects of their stories. For instance, few know that Lorraine Warren was a consultant to ensure the films stayed true to the essence of their work. However, this essence may not be the same as reality. Have you ever wondered how much we are manipulated by art? What if what we consider history is just an illusion? Still, it's impossible to deny the reach the films provided. They brought millions of people into the world of the paranormal and the Warrens' work. But they also gave critics room to point out inconsistencies between the original accounts and their cinematic adaptations. Was what we saw on screen truly what happened? Or did the media only fuel the mystery so we may never know the truth? As the world consumes these stories, doubts persist, making the Warrens' legacy even more fascinating and enigmatic. What if there are other stories, still untold, lurking in the shadows? When we look at everything Ed and Lorraine Warren represented, we realize their stories go far beyond what we imagined. They're not just tales of hauntings or unexplained phenomena. They're an invitation to confront our own fears and question the reality around us. But the real question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you remain just a spectator of the shadows, or will you start paying attention to those small things that seem out of place in your life? Perhaps a sound you can't explain, a strange feeling when entering a room. Throughout this journey, you've learned about the thin line between reality and fiction, the methods used by the Warrens, and even the secrets that threatened their legacy. Now, it's up to you to apply this knowledge. If something unexplainable crosses your path, will you know how to act? Or will you succumb to fear? I challenge you to reflect on all this. After all, it's in the unknown that we find the most disturbing answers. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. Here, we'll keep exploring the darkest mysteries and revealing stories few dare to tell. Are you ready to continue this journey?